Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about the 7 non-negotiable interior design mistakes. I love talking about interior design mistakes. You love watching them. They're super fun because we get to talk about things that, people don't like here on the internet. You get to see if you're making these sort of mistakes in your own home. But a lot of those are kind of opinion, right? Like we get, you hear things like people say, don't paint your walls glossy paint, or open shelving is overwhelming, or farmhouse is a dated decor style, right? These are mistakes, but they're really opinion. And I wanted to talk about in this video, things that are like non-negotiable. Like if you're doing these things, you're just wrong. Like there's no, you're just wrong. There's no well, do what you want to do, opinion stuff. It's just incorrect. And that's okay. We all make those mistakes. I've been wrong once or twice in my life, right? So that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. Also real quick, I have a course available where I go over all these details. My course is a lot more technical than I tend to do on YouTube, which is a little bit more opinion-y based, but if you wanna check that out, go check out the link in the description. There you go. So in my videos, I often talk about utilizing the senses beyond what you can see and feel, thinking about what you can hear or even smell. That is why I wanna take a moment and thank today's sponsor, Scentbird. Scentbird is a subscription service that allows you to try different designer fragrances every month. There are over 600 different scents, so you can experiment and find what scent works best for you. So Scentbird actually recently sent me Maturai by Memo, Pause by Good Habit, and Rosario by House of Beau. I love all these scents, but my favorite is the Good Habit Pause with hints of pink pepper, jasmine, and cedarwood. It feels like the perfect balance between, it's a little bit feminine, but it's got some masculine undertones as well, which has been really my go-to, and it's been great. It's super easy to spray on. Twist the top to the left and then spray, you're good to go. This is also a really good amount of perfume in each vial, which you can easily view by removing the case. What I really appreciate about Scentbird is the ability to try out different fragrances before committing to a full-size bottle. So if you want to try out new scents, use my coupon code LEWIS55 for 54% off at Scentbird. It's just a little over $7 for your first month. It's available in the USA and Canada, so thank you again, Scentbird, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Okay, first non-negotiable is going to be mismatched lighting temperature. So if you didn't know, there are different lighting temperatures that you can use for your different light bulbs. You've got sort of anything around kind of the 2700 or somewhere around there, 3000 sort of Kelvin, which is going to be a warmer white light bulb. And then you've got the stuff that's getting into the 4,000 or 5,000 Kelvin stuff, which is when you get a little bit higher up there, you start to get lighting that's a little bit more appropriate for a garage, a little bit more appropriate for a hospital, and in my opinion, not the best light to choose, but that's not what this video is about. The biggest thing I think that is important is no matter which lighting temperature you choose, and again, you can go warm, you can go daylight, you can go whatever, you can do you. I don't think you should go garage lighting, but that's just me. I do think though, do not mismatch them. Nothing gives me a headache quite like seeing warm light mixed in the exact same room in the same space as really cool lighting, where you've got a table lamp that is a warm glow, and then you've got the central light in the ceiling that is this really bright white. This mismatched temperature always gives me a headache. I see it in the evenings when I take my dog for a walk, and I'm not looking at people's apartments, I'm not a pervert, but when you're just walking on the street and you look up and you just see the same room and you're like, how are you not going crazy with the multiple lighting temperatures happening from all the different light bulbs in your space? This to me is a non-negotiable, okay? No matter what you choose, again, your opinion, your choice, you choose the light bulbs you want. Some people like warmer, some people like the daylight, fine. Be consistent. Choose the same ones. Your space will instantly look so much better because you will not have these different lighting temperatures competing at the same time. Ooh, it's something that I see it all the time. People don't pay attention to this. It's a small detail. It makes a huge effect on your mood. Really can make a space look amazingly gorgeous or not, depending on just something so simple as lighting temperature. So no matter which one you choose, make sure it's consistent. Okay, next non-negotiable mistake is going to be improper clearances around your furniture. So if people find that it is difficult to navigate your space, it doesn't matter how beautiful your couch is. It doesn't matter the materials, the color choice, how cohesive, whatever. It's just not gonna work. If it's too big and people need to shimmy through to get through between your side chairs or whatever, it's just not gonna work. Your furniture is too big or it's too small, most likely too big. That's usually the mistake that you see the most often. So I think what you should do is figure out the space that you have, because it's the space that you have, okay? You can't make it necessarily a whole lot bigger unless you move or you're taking down walls and you're doing a renovation, but that's not what this is about. You can't make it a whole lot bigger, okay? So it is what it is. Now pick the furniture pieces that fit within the requirements that you have set based on the room that you actually have, not the room that you want, okay? So you got the space you got. Make sure that you have the pieces that you have for proper flow around the room. Make sure everybody can get in and out. Make sure there's about somewhere between sort of 12 and 18 inches between the edge of the seat seat of the chair or the sofa and the coffee table. Make sure you have proper clearances around the dining area so that when you pull out, you're able to actually pull out your chairs comfortably. Back here, this is pretty tight, but I'm right on the edge of too close, to be honest. But I made the decision that I made and I'm happy with it because it was right on the edge of not enough clearance, but it was just enough that I was able to make it work. If I lost about 6 inches, honestly, I would have had to got a smaller table. And that sucks because I love the size of that table, but you gotta work with what you got. So I would say, take into account the space that you have, not the space that you want. Get proper furniture. If you find that even still, it still doesn't work with the furniture that you have, you might have to take a piece of furniture away, or you might have to invest in some smaller pieces or take some stuff away because it just isn't going to work. If you don't have the proper clearances around your furniture, this includes your bed, your dining table, chairs, sofa, coffee table, whatever, it's just not going to make sense in the space. Non-negotiable. Okay, and then in the same vein, we're gonna talk about door and cabinet clearances. Okay, so similar thing. Not gonna spend a whole lot of time on this one because this one just drives me crazy if you see it. And when you experience it and you live it with it in your own home, you realize how crazy this stuff makes you. And that is drawers in your kitchen cabinets. So make sure that your cutlery drawer, your different drawers in your kitchen, make sure that when you pull them all out, that they're not gonna hit each other, right? Make sure even your appliances right now, so I didn't actually, like when I moved into this space, the dishwasher, when you take it down, the top rows, the top 2 rows of the dishwasher collide with the cutlery drawer. Well, guess what happens when you want to put away all of your flatware? Well, guess what? You have to take it out, unload it out of the dishwasher, put the dishwasher away, then open the cabinet. Annoying. Someone didn't do their measurements, they didn't do the proper clearance when it was renovated before I moved in here, and that's just facts, right? It's just annoying. It's wrong. You can say, oh, but yeah, you can like it all you want. The truth is, it's wrong. It's designed poorly because you should take into account all the clearances for all your cabinet drawers, media console, bar cabinet, things like that. People always say, like, is that bar cabinet too close to the media console? No, it actually does work. It's on the edge again, kind of like the dining table, but it still makes sense because I'm able to comfortably get in, open the cabinet drawers, and put all my glassware in and out, no problem. So you have to make sure that you have the proper clearances around everything for all of your drawers, all of your pulls. If your door is smacking into the toilet, you got a problem. You know what I mean? That's a mistake. That's not an artistic choice, okay, ma'am? That is not an artistic choice. That is a door hitting a toilet on your way in. You have to figure it out of the way to make sure that you're getting the functional needs for your space planning in all of those different areas of the home. Non-negotiable. I'm sorry, you're just wrong if it doesn't work. Okay, here's my next interior design non-negotiable, and that is going to be choosing the wrong material for the function that you are using that room for. Okay, so here are some examples. Let's say you're a person and you love to cook and you love to sort of put hot pans on all of your countertops because you're a really messy cook. Okay, consider that quartz is not as heat resistant as something like granite. So you may want quartz. You may be like, but Nick, that's what I want. Then be prepared to use heating pads. If you're a person that likes to take stuff straight from the oven right onto your kitchen countertops and you don't trust yourself in doing that, you might want to rethink your decision to have quartz because quartz is a combination of like quartz and resin basically and pigment, and that's what basically makes these manufactured slabs of quartz. The resin at really super high temperatures, like 450 degrees straight out of an oven, may cause you to scorch your quartz countertops. So make sure that you choose a countertop that is going to be appropriate for the function that you've designed it for. In a similar vein, something like tile countertops can look great, they look beautiful, they're actually really on trend right now. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, but is grout the right choice for you if you like to cook a lot, right? There can be some hygiene issues there can be some balance issues in terms of putting cutting boards on those really, really annoying sort of grout lines, things like that. Might not make a ton of sense there, right? Other examples would be carpet in the bathroom because you're gross, right? Like let's say you're a person who likes carpet in the bathroom because you're a weird person, you know? That isn't the material that I think makes sense for that room, okay? In the same vein, right? Wallpaper in a very humid environment like a primary bathroom might not make a lot of sense. Really depends on the wallpaper. Check with the manufacturer to make sure that you're choosing the right material that is appropriate for that room. Same goes for something like hardwood in a really humid environment. Like a bathroom, again, might not make a ton of sense. You really want to check with the manufacturers to choose the right material that is appropriate for the room that you have. Now you might say, but Nick, it's an artistic choice for me to use large format tiles in my shower. Fine, just make sure they're slip resistant. resistant because that may not be the right material choice for the function of being in the shower, okay? So you really wanna double check those materials, make sure they make sense for the room that they're in so that it's all the function comes first of what you're going to be using that space for. Then you can start to make some artistic decisions. Some of those decisions I may or may not agree with, but that's not the point of this video. The point is that the material is going to work for what you've designed it for. Okay, and then next up, we have just things that are too high or too low. So, when we talked about space planning earlier, we kind of assume that we're sort of operating a little bit on a two-dimensional plane, but we're not, right? Rooms are three-dimensional. That's kind of one of the things about design you have to consider, right? We have to take into account things that are too high, things that are too low. So I would really second guess things like really super low furniture if you're a person that finds it really difficult to get in and out, right? Like that, what's that Togo sort of chair or whatever? I sat in one the other day. I mean, I'm not that old, but I mean, whatever. But like, those things are hard to get in and out of. Like, I can't imagine. They are super comfy when you lounge and you're in them. You might be appropriate for the 20-year-olds that are putting them in their rooms, but not really appropriate for most people, like especially over the age of, I don't know, 40, 50. Like, not that easy to get in and out of. So really considering things like the height of the furniture pieces or your bed that might be really difficult to get in and out of. Your coffee table roughly should be around the same height of the seat height for the neighboring couch or side chairs. That's kind of, if it's really difficult for you to sit on the chair and you kind of got to go like this in order to put your cup on the coffee table, it's probably the wrong height. So that's really a non-negotiable, right? You might have the most beautiful coffee table in the world, but if it's like a foot higher than the seat height in the neighboring chair, might not be the most functional piece to have in your living room. Not to mention, because it's not functional and obviously it doesn't fit, it's gonna look silly. So it doesn't matter how beautiful it is, if it's not easy to use when you're actually navigating the space, it's not gonna work. Also in this category, I'm gonna talk about TV and art when it comes to too high or too low. Really take into account where you're sitting and where is the appropriate height for you to be hanging the TV. I think that's really important. A lot of people love the TV above the fireplace look, and I'm not saying it can't work. I know a lot of people absolutely despise it. It can work if the room is big enough and if there's an appropriate angle for people to sit at the chair and be able to see the television at an appropriate height without craning their neck. And so often the fireplace, the problem with that look is that the fireplace is so high that once you put a TV over top of it, especially because TVs just keep getting bigger, and it starts to feel like you're kind of looking up at something like a more than a 45-degree angle to be able to watch your own television, especially in a space like an apartment or a smaller room. So you want to take into account stuff like the height of the TV. You might think, but it's a design decision. I think it looks beautiful above a fireplace. I agree, it can create something that's really beautiful and symmetrical because it's all lined up in one focal point. Awesome, but it might just not work for your space. And again, if guests are sitting there like this, having to watch your TV, sorry, it's just not an appropriate height for the space and you're gonna have to rethink it. Art, similar story. Should go between about 57 to 60 inches from the base, from the floor, up until about middle of the art piece. That's a very general rule, but it makes sense because it's the appropriate height for most people. So it's appropriate for someone who's like 4'11" to someone who's 6'6". It's around about kind of the height that most people are gonna be able to see and enjoy the art. A lot higher than that might make sense for you if you're a tall person, but it's not gonna work for the majority of people, the height that they're going to be able to be standing at. So 57 to 60, kind of a good rule that's gonna make sense, especially if you have standard ceiling heights. So make sure things are the appropriate height, whether not too high, not too low. Things like storage, consider storage that's super, super high that you're not gonna be able to access regularly. Too high for your space. Find an appropriate place for you to have all of your storage that you can actually get to on a regular basis. Okay, and then the sixth non-negotiable, it's a mistake, I'm sorry, would be just in general buying without measuring. Now this should feel obvious at this point based on all the other things that I talked about in this video, but you'd be surprised. Most people, I get it, I super get it, love to just go to the store and see what's new and what's happening and be able to pick up something that they love, right? That's what most people do. They love the hunt of going in the home goods and seeing what they're gonna find, blah, 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 what's new here, what's new there. I get that. But again, take a step back. What are your requirements for the space? What do you need? That can be fine for like a cute little couple of decor pieces here and there, like whatever, go have fun. Go vintage shopping and go get some bowl from 1982, like go nuts. But if you're looking at big furniture pieces, take into account what are the requirements of the room, right? What is the amount of space that you have to work with? Then you measure, maybe even 3D model. That's what I've done. I've 3D modeled my coffee table out of cardboard before I went and bought it. Yeah, is it annoying? Sure, but it takes 45 minutes an hour, and you now know forever and ever and ever that that is the right coffee table for your space. Use green painter's tape, making sure that you do all your measurements, get out that measuring tape before you go to the store to make sure that whatever you're buying is going to fit into the constraints for your space. Measure once and you won't regret it. If you just go out and you find something cute and you go buy it and you take it home and it doesn't fit, I'm sorry, it's just never gonna work in the space. That's just reality. Okay, and then next interior design, non-negotiable mistake is going to be not taking into account different hazards in your space. So big ones here would be things like, yes, generally the proper curtain length for your drapery panels is something around kissing the floor is usually what a lot of people like. You can do the puddle look if you want something a little bit more opulent. But what is definitely a mistake though, is when you do the kiss to the floor thing, but you also realize they got baseboard heaters there and they could potentially catch fire. Do you know what? Your space is beautiful, it's stunning, but when it's up in flames, it's not as stunning as it used to be. Do you know what I mean? Also, consider things like mold, asbestos, other materials. No, that's not really a material, but like, mold is not a material. Like, these are things that are not good for you. These are things that you need to deal with. These are things that can be expensive to fix, but they can create a hazard, right? So yes, it's very expensive to, you know, fix the roof that's gonna cave in, but these are hazards that need to be dealt with. That is not a design decision. You're just wrong. That is a serious issue that you need to actually fix. Now, the good news is that most of the things, generally depending on where you live, are going to be covered under building codes. And if you're working with a designer or a contractor or whatever, most of that stuff is gonna be fine. So, you know, electrical being close to plumbing, generally speaking, that is frowned upon. And that will depend on where you live and what would be appropriate. Again, there's a lot of regulation, thankfully, here in 2023 to sort of support why these certain things are in place. And you probably won't pass inspection if you do some of this really sketchy stuff. But it's just worth pointing out that that is a hazard and you should generally consider that. Yes, okay, you can say, but I want this artistic vision for what I want to do for my kitchen. Yeah, sure, cool, but it's all fun and games until the toaster falls in the sink, right? And then that's not cool. So you wanna make sure that you're taking into account all of your hazards. Things like staircases, open risers, you know, with children might not be a good idea, right? Like, you know, again, like I don't really love children, but like I don't want them to fall downstairs, you know what I mean? So you gotta be careful with choosing the right staircase that is gonna be appropriate for you and your family. Those things can be really difficult for people that are older. Those things can be really difficult, as I said, for little kids or babies. You wanna make sure you choose the stuff that is going to not kill your family. That's basically what I'm saying, right? So beware of hazards. That is not an artistic choice. That is just wrong when you're actually doing things that are actually legitimately unsafe. And also before I go, thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. Again, you've got that link down in the description as well as 55% off your subscription to Scentbird if you use code Lewis55. So click on the link. Thanks again, Scentbird. Okay, so that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Let me know what are your non-negotiables. You know, I tried to stick to things that were not really opinion. I do a lot of opinion stuff on this channel and I tried to keep them to myself in this video, but these are just non-negotiable. You're just wrong if you do any of these things is basically, I think, the point. So I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.